Hey friends, this is Colby Cajero, the 33-year-old healthy breast cancer survivor. Today is February the 10th and it's in the evening. So today I had my first chemo session. So I wanted to make a video for you guys to let you know how my first chemo session went. I did cold capping, and as you can see on my forehead, I have a line from like an indentation from wearing the cold cap for about, I think it was 8.5 hours. So we started around 11 a.m. With the cold capping process and finished around 7:30 to 7:45-ish. So yeah, about 8.5+ hours of cold capping. So my first experience with cold capping is that the first 2 caps in the pre-cooling process are the worst. And when I say the worst, I mean the manual tells you that it takes at least 8 minutes for like the nerve endings to kind of go numb and you just kind of lose that sensation. And that is true to an extent. But each time you put a new cap on, I mean, you're going back to that negative 30 degrees Celsius all over again, and it is brutal. It does get a little bit better each time. I will say that the first 2 times, like I said, cap 1 and cap 2, in pre-cooling were the absolute worst. The second cap was the worst of the worst though. I got, like, my head was frozen, but I was sweating, and I wore a Sherpa hoodie, Sherpa sweater, and Sherpa sweatpants to chemo today because I was like, okay, I'm gonna have all this ice on my head, on my hands, and on my feet, so I'm gonna be cold. I even took an extra blanket. I never even used the extra blanket. These Sherpas are the bomb. So yeah, I mean, like I said, the first 2 caps were the worst. Second cap was the absolute worst. They actually made me a little bit nauseous because it just such a shock to my system. And so that wasn't fun, but I got through it. And like I said, each cap, it gets a little bit better. But like I said, every time that new cap comes on, it's just a couple minutes of just all over again. So I'll let you know if it's worth it. Hopefully it saves my hair, and if not, I got my wigs, and we'll roll with it. So I started my chemo session today with labs at 9:45, and then it wasn't until about 11 that they were able to get me in because they said that this financial coordinator had to talk to me, who never did, and then they said that the doctor had to look at my labs and stuff like that. So there was just a little bit of lag time, which, I mean, it's to totally be expected probably on the first round of chemo. I mean, hopefully it won't happen again, but yeah, hopefully they got all whatever financial stuff they needed to talk to us about figured out behind the scenes, because definitely nobody ever talked to us about it. So yeah, the chemo meds that I used are Taxotere and Cytoxan. So they did like a saline flush at first. Before I even get to all that, let's talk about the chemo port. So this is my chemo port scar. Sorry for the dog hair. We just took the dogs for a walk. So chemo port, right? This is the sweater I wore all through chemo today. It's perfect. I looked into getting those jackets that were like specifically designed for chemo ports. Number 1, I found them to be ridiculously expensive. And number 2, I also found them to be no more accessible to the port than this little nugget here that's super warm. And if I'm gonna be freezing, I might as well use it, right? So I didn't buy any of those jackets. So tip for the chemo port. They give you the doctor prescribed lidocaine cream that you put onto this little area before chemo, an hour before chemo, to numb the skin so that when they poke you into the little port, I'm sure you can see the little bump, that it is not as uncomfortable, right? So I put my numbing cream on around 9 a.m. So what you do is I wasn't sure where they were going with this thing because I've got the scar here and here. So I just literally put Lido on the whole thing. Turns out I only needed it on this little nugget here where the lump is, where whatever that is, the port part itself. This other part is the actual tubing that runs up the vein, and it just feels so gross. I hate touching it. It's ugh, don't like it at all. So like I said, numb it up, put the cream on, and then you're supposed to put like saran wrap over it to protect it, right? Well, one of the girls at my plastic surgeon's office told me to put Tegaderm on it. So I bought this like 9" by 4" like brick of Tegaderm, and I taped it over it so that the saran wrap didn't move, right? So that it stayed in place. So that was there from, like I said, 9 a.m. to 11 when we got started. And when she poked me, she was like, okay, take a deep breath and breathe out. And then like when I breathed out, I barely felt a little pinch, but it was 100% bearable. So I'm really grateful for that. That was a total success in my opinion. And then, you know, you can see that it's barely pricked, you know, right there. I'm not actually even sure if you can see it because it's so tiny, but I can see it and you can take my word for it. So I thought that part went very, very well. Then they started us with a saline flush. So just getting some saline IV going, and then they started with the antiemetics. I can't remember the name of all the meds, the antiemetics that they gave, but they did say that one of them should last about 2 to 3 days, about 72 hours. So that's good. They were saying that that I may not need my nausea meds until day 2 or 3, depending on the situation, just how I feel. So we'll keep you posted on that. And so they did the antiemetics, so the pre-chemo, and we were doing all of that while starting the cold capping, right? Doing the pre-cooling phase. And then we timed it when we would start. So we started with the Taxotere first. That one is the drug that causes the neuropathy and all of those things, and like the mouth sores and whatnot. So what I did for that was during all of Taxotere, I had these frozen gloves on my hands and these frozen socks on my feet, and I was sucking on Sonic Ice like the whole time. So I was, the Taxotere ran for about a little over an hour, not much over an hour. And so I was doing that whole regimen the whole time. And then I actually extended it a little bit into the Cytoxan regimen just because I figured a little extra didn't hurt. And then they did a saline flush then we did Cytoxan for 45 minutes to an hour, and then saline flush at the end. And during this whole time, every 25 minutes, my husband and I are changing the cap. And so I didn't really get a chance to so I brought my laptop, my iPad for movies. I had downloaded some movies and I was gonna watch those, but I realized this morning that with the cold capping, there's no way I could put earbuds in my ears with the cap being smashed over my ears. So that was out. And then I also brought 2 books that I did not touch once because I had the frozen gloves on most of the time. So I didn't end up using hardly any of the engaging materials. They had the TV going, Justin and I were talking with each other, you know, things like that. So yeah, time went by pretty fast. We were there, we left around 2:30. It was all done by, and then came home and had to do 5 more hours of cold capping at home. So that has been my day. I feel fine. After the 5 hours of cold capping, we took our dogs for a walk so that I could get my step goal because I feel up to it. I don't know if I'm gonna feel up to it tomorrow, so I just, you know, decided that I would do what I can when I feel good. And so that's what we ended up doing. So crushed my step goal for today. And yeah, that's about it. I'm about to go to bed soon because I do feel tired. But I have no idea if that's because I'm exhausted from all the cold capping, because it's involved. It's a very involved process. It's not passive, even though you are so my husband was moving his tush off today, up, down with, caps and everything. But even though like I was more or less active than he was, I was still actively participating and doing things like that. So yeah, that was, I don't know if I'm just exhausted for that. I don't know if it's the medication. I can't really pinpoint it. But I am tired, so I am going to go to bed. Oh, almost forgot. They put this, I don't know if you can see it, this thing in my belly. It's called Neulasta. So that is something so that I don't have to come back tomorrow. It is, if I remember correctly with what she said, it is supposed to help trigger your bone marrow to produce more white blood cells because they get decreased with chemo meds. I've heard from others who have had this little nugget say that this is what causes the bone pain. So for the bone pain, I have been, because remember I was supposed to start last week with my chemo, I've been taking Claritin for bone pain ever since last week, and like every day since last week. So I'm hoping that I won't have that issue. But again, we'll see what happens. So this little nugget is, it goes off 27 hours after your, the end of your infusion, right? So they don't insert this until like the end of the last chemo med. And then it injects you with whatever's in there 27 hours later, and then you can take it out a couple hours after that. So I think I have an alarm set for like 6 p.m. tomorrow night to take it off and throw it away. It was no worse than any of the IVF shots that I've taken. So don't stress out about that at all. One of the things that, so just like to wrap up everything that we talked about today, my dental fun fact is going to be about the, and I may have mentioned this in my video this morning, and I'm sorry if I did, but I'm hoping that the icing, the sucking on the ice, now please do not chew the ice. That's why you got to get sonic ice, because it's soft, okay? And less likely to damage your enamel. But no dentist is ever going to recommend you to chew ice because it can damage your enamel. So suck on the ice, please, 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 please. Do not chew on it. So, and I tried to let it just marinate on as much of my soft tissue of the mouth as I could to try to help, like I said, prevent any mouth sores from forming. And again, I'll keep you posted on the success rate of that. So, so yeah, that was taking it back to my dental fun fact is don't chew the ice, suck on it. And sonic ice is always the best because it's nice and soft and fluffy. And I realized today that my cancer center actually has Sonic type ice. So, so yeah, I don't actually have to go to Sonic next time for the ice, but yeah. So that is it for today. I will keep you guys posted. I'm gonna try to make a video tomorrow, depending on how I feel, just to just keep you posted on, you know, the experience. I did make a post on the breast cancer under 40 group today and asked, you know, when did side effects start to show up? And most people on average said day 2 to 6 after chemo. So, so we're looking at anywhere from Saturday to next Thursday or next Wednesday. So we'll see what happens. I'm supposed to go to work on Tuesday and Wednesday of this next week. So hopefully I'm able to do that because I do plan to work during this process. I still plan on working out, still plan on exercising, hitting my step goals, my fitness goals, eating all the food. My coach today was check-in day. I told you that this morning. Coach bumped me up to 300 grams of carbs per day. I'm so excited. So now I think I'm around 2,300 calories per day. And so I'm really excited about that. We've been working towards that milestone. We were almost there right before I got my diagnosis, right before I had to do my double mastectomy. And we just couldn't get there before then. So, so yeah, but now we're there. I'm so excited. And hopefully we can just keep crushing this metabolism. My metabolism is on fire, and I hope that these chemo meds don't mess with it because that'll really upset me if it does. But I drank my whole gallon of water today, and plan to keep doing that. So yeah, all right guys, well thanks for tuning in, and I will keep you posted on tomorrow. So I will consider today day 0 because it was the first day of infusion, and then so tomorrow will be day 1 post chemo 1, and I will keep you posted on how things are going. Thanks so much.